watching Criticom Link, back here today with another video. And today I talk about the well-known and much-loved, or should I say used to be much-loved, television series named SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants premiered on Nickelodeon in 1999. It was created by Steven Hillenburg and is still going on today. If you're like me and if you're part of Generation Z and are in that late teens, early 20s, mid-20s crowd, then SpongeBob has been a unavoidably big part of your childhood. You had to have grown up watching SpongeBob. This is a kids show, and it has been going on for 20 years. Most kids shows hardly ever make it past 5 years, so SpongeBob has now tripled the average life expectancy of a kids show. So, I mean, you already have to give it credit enough there. So SpongeBob is known right now to everyone, every little kid out there watching it right now, and to some people out there who are up to 35 years old. I mean, all of those people, everyone in that age range from just a little kid to up to 35 years old has seen an episode of SpongeBob at least. They've seen at least one episode. And even if you're older than that, you've at least heard of SpongeBob. SpongeBob has probably been a big nuisance to all of you older parents out there who just believe that it's just another kid show featuring a sponge with a very annoying laugh. It's hard for you to have missed an episode at this point, but even if you have, you've at least heard the name, you've at least seen some pictures or clips out there on social media, on the news, or on wherever. There are still new episodes coming. It's showing no signs of ending anytime soon. And not only that, but we have the third SpongeBob movie coming out next year titled It's a Wonderful Sponge, which is supposed to be an origin story of sorts that will focus on SpongeBob and how he landed up in Bikini Bottom and how he got those square pants. And not only that, but there is also a spin-off series in the works titled Camp Coral, which will focus on a very young 10-year-old SpongeBob and his days in summer camp. It is supposed to serve as a tie-in to the SpongeBob movie coming out next year. So I am on here today because I've been wanting to talk about SpongeBob for a long time, and I have quite a lot to say on it. So because of SpongeBob's longevity, it appeals differently to many demographics. One person from the early days of SpongeBob who was watching it when it first came out might have a different view on the show than someone who just started watching it, say, a few years ago. So SpongeBob is a highly subjective series, but the one thing that most people can agree on is that the show's glory days were comprised of the first 3 seasons. That's something that seems to be a majority consensus out there. It's just that where and when the show started taking a downwards turn is a little bit more up for debate. But I have come up with my own way of categorizing the different ages of SpongeBob and just painting my own picture of how the series has gone down the river in recent times. And I'm ranking them based on years as opposed to seasons. So you might see in a certain age, it might be spliced in between, one season, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. But without further ado, let's get on with it. Starting us off is the startup age in 1999. I'm not really that big on the first dozen of episodes or so. You could tell that it was a show that was just getting started. It needed to find its footing in the right place. But nevertheless, I do not think that this was, by any means of the word, a bad age, just that this was the very early startup age and the show was still needing to find its place on cable networks. But it did not take long for the show to do that at all, as then the golden age transpired from 2000 to 2004. This is what many people would agree on is the prime glory days of SpongeBob SquarePants. The first 3 seasons, or at least late into the first season all the way up until season 3, are considered a hallmark of children's television, and if you ask me, these 3 seasons are gonna live on in people's memories forever and ever and ever. The majority of memes and GIFs that you see on the internet today, they came from these first 3 seasons because these seasons, they talked about a lot of things. They had a lot of meat around the bones of it, and the series got into some pretty deep stuff and featured some pretty ballsy jokes that Nickelodeon would be way too scared to air today. I mean, you could say whatever you want is your absolute favorite episode from this age, if you even have one. I mean, most people really can't pinpoint one definitive favorite episode of SpongeBob, although many people might say Band Geeks. There are some other people out there that say different episodes from this era. It's subjective. It's really whatever way you view it. And right after 2004, as you guys know, is when Steven Hillenburg left the series, and thus the Silver Age came to be from 2005 to 2009. So, as you can see here, 2009 is spliced right in the middle of the 5th season, which ran from 2008 to 2010. Since the episodes usually span 3 years and not just 1 year like your traditional TV series, I think a more accurate and precise way of ranking the different ages of SpongeBob go by years. And if you ask me, from 2005 to 2009, it wasn't really so much of a downgrade from the golden age of 2004, but it's just that those episodes were almost magical. They almost felt like a gift from the TV gods themselves bestowed upon to us. These episodes in this age, not quite that same feel, but I still loved the majority of these episodes. I mean, just pick one and I probably like it and I'll probably watch it. There was really only a few bad apples in there, like one course meal. Yeah, like you. But getting on with it, next up is the Bronze Age, from 2010 to 2013. Like the previous era, there were quite a bit of bad apples scattered throughout, but I still like and I can still enjoy most of the episodes from this age. But looking back on it today, I can see how these episodes just aren't as quite up to par with, say, episodes from 10 years prior. But nevertheless, if one of these episodes from this age just happens to be playing on TV, chances are I'll just sit down and watch it for 11 minutes. And next is more of a transitional period, and that being the Plastic Age, from 2014 to 2015. This is when I really started to feel that the series was losing its mojo. I mean, comparing it, these episodes just weren't as hooking me as much as episodes from years prior, you know, where it's like you just sit down and you are totally hooked, you know, just like that. 11 minutes just flies right by. It's not that I really hate these episodes. It's not like I have a big, deep hatred for them. It's just that they were all very mediocre. It's just that they were all kind of bottom of the line. Maybe just the type of episodes that a parent would sit their kid down to watch and just be a distraction for 10 minutes or so. These episodes really started to feel that way for me. Next up, following the Plastic Age, this was it for me. This was when SpongeBob died for me. I do not like any of these episodes. And that is the Trash Age, from 2016 to the present. Now, before I go on, some people out there feel that during my own ranking of the Bronze Age, maybe about like 2010 to 2012, around there, some people would say that was SpongeBob's worst time period, and that the episodes like in 2019 are at least a step up from those episodes. I totally disagree with that, honestly, because I would take watching an episode from 2010 over an episode from 2019 any day of the week. And do you want to know why? Because at least in 2010, the episodes still felt like they had some sort of substance to them. They felt like they still had at least a story, and that, you know, there was, you know, we're starting out and then here is a problem. The characters have to find a solution to that problem in 10 minutes and that's the end of the episode. The episodes from 2016 to the present, I don't feel that one way. These episodes are total, complete, utter garbage. The episodes from today don't even have any story to them whatsoever. I mean, you turn it on now and you see all sorts of irregularities. Like, I mean, in the episode Mustard O' Mine, what happened to Squidward? Isn't he supposed to be some really grumpy dickbag that hates the world and can't stand SpongeBob, but all of a sudden he's dancing along to SpongeBob, having a good old time, seems to be enjoying life, living life to the fullest, and seems to be on his own little cloud of personal nirvana? That's not Squidward, Nickelodeon. I don't know who the hell that is. That is not Squidward. I mean, none of the characters feel like characters anymore. They all feel like empty vessels designed to simply be thrown around, or designed to be ear-piercingly loud and stupid. And what is with the over-exaggeration of the characters' facial expressions nowadays? It's kind of creepy, really. It's not even funny. It's not even charmingly weird. It's just kind of creepy, to be honest. And it's like, what is Nickelodeon thinking with these episodes? That's all I can say. What we had in 2004 was magnificent. It was wonderful. It was like a piece of heaven. And what we have in 2019 is more like a pile of dog shit. If you ask me, and a lot of other people feel the same way, it's Nickelodeon's biggest mistake in its history to continue SpongeBob after Steven Hillenburg passed away last year. I feel that Nickelodeon should have announced the cancellation of SpongeBob the day after he passed, or at least a week or something like that. I mean, maybe allow some time. We would not have SpongeBob. We would not have all of those memes and GIFs and all of that cultural significance that you see if it was not for that one man, if it was not for Steven Hillenburg. Not only that, but Steven Hillenburg said before that he personally doesn't feel he wants to see any prequels or spin-offs of the series. He just feels that, you know, SpongeBob is just one series by itself, yet Nickelodeon is pushing out Camp Coral. It's like you're doing the very thing that the man did not want to happen in the first place. Jeez, Nickelodeon. What is wrong with you? And really starting around this time too, and maybe not so much 2016, maybe 2018, 2019 for sure, I can't even bear to just sit down on the couch for 11 minutes of my time just to watch an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. It's like these episodes are a painstaking cringe fest to sit through nowadays. Before, no matter how bad the episodes were, I could at least sit down for 10 minutes and watch them. If I couldn't watch them when they first aired, then I would save them to my DVR, but lately I've just been deleting all of the new episodes of SpongeBob just to make space on my DVR, really. That's a first to happen for me, and it felt like, wow, this is really what SpongeBob has come to now. There is no reason for SpongeBob to be continuing on anymore. SpongeBob has run its course, it had a good run, but SpongeBob is a highly profitable, marketable entity, and Nickelodeon is gonna squeeze that cash cow for every drop that it has left. Although I think people will still look back on those first 3 seasons from 2000 to 2004, and the memory of those seasons will live on forever. I have no doubt about that. It's like, I mean, as sad as it is to say, there are only so many episodes from the Golden Age that you can really just sit down and watch through, you know, dozens of times and then finally start getting a bit tired of them. You might think differently, but I think in a few years, definitively, there will be more bad episodes of SpongeBob than good episodes, and it's up until that point that SpongeBob will finally die off as a cultural zeitgeist, that it won't be that big cash cow that it once was, and only then will Nickelodeon finally put a bullet in that rotting corpse once and for all. But anyway, I would love to know what you think about this whole thing. Do you have your own way of ranking the different ages of SpongeBob? And I would love to hear from you if you're one of those people out there that thinks SpongeBob's worst time was the early 2010s, and now the episodes from 2019 are at least a step up above that. I personally disagree with that, but if that's what you think, I would still love to know your opinion, and I would still like to have a civil discussion with you about it. I mean, I would love to know any of you guys' opinions out there. Feel free to leave anything on your mind at all. Just leave it down in the comment section below, and I try to respond to all comments that I get. And if you like this video, give it a like, consider subscribing, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace!